The heat in Shari Bliss was a physical thing, a smothering blanket woven of sun and sand that choked the breath in a man's throat. It was less a city and more a sprawling ulcer of flapping leather and grimy canvas, a temporary haven for the desperate and the damned on the blistering plains bordering the Stygian wastes. Within a large pavilion that stank of sour mead, stale sweat, and roasting goat, Conan of Cimmeria sat alone, a sullen mountain of brooding muscle in a shadowed corner. But his brooding was not that of a common sellsword. 3 moons with the blade of Duma had taught him truths he'd rather not know. Each night brought dreams of things pressing against reality's barriers, testing for weaknesses his hand had created. Each day brought whispers, rumors of cults awakening, of forbidden books being sought, of men who claimed the old ways were returning. His volcanic eyes swept the crowd with new purpose. No longer did he hunt for gold or glory. He hunted for the infection he had unleashed. The blade across his back no longer comforted. It accused, its weight a verdict, its presence a reminder that every horror yet to come bore his name. His gaze locked upon a knot of 5 soldiers, their armor and bearing too disciplined for common brigands. Their leader, broad-shouldered, a scar splitting his brow, leaned close to 2 local sellswords. The pay is 10 gold a man, he growled, voice frayed with urgency, and another 20 when we reach the oasis of Seb. The desert men, faces leathered by sun and dust, shifted uneasily. One rasped, "Your gold is good, Valerius, but your path is cursed. No man with sense walks the sunken lands, still less the shadow of the Black Altar." The words struck the air like a funeral bell. Conan's hand froze on his tankard. The Black Altar of Acheron. 3 moons past, he would have laughed it off as desert superstition. But with the veil thinning, places of ancient power pulled at him, dragged his blood like iron to a lodestone. Around them the tavern hushed. Men spat into the dust, warding off evil. The fire crackled. Shadows leaned closer. Valerius slammed his gauntlet on the crude table. "Sets, devils! Are there no men in this dung heap of a city? It is but a landmark, a sphere of black rock. We pass it at a distance." "A distance is not far enough," the other local muttered, shaking his head as he rose. "The altar sees. It puts madness in a man's head. We've heard the tales. Caravans found with their men slaughtered by each other's hands, chasing phantoms in the dust. Find other fools, Valerius. We will not sell our souls." The 2 men departed, leaving Valerius cursing into his mead. The mercenary captain drained his cup in one angry pull, slammed it down, and stalked from the pavilion with his remaining men trailing behind. Before Conan could rise, the locals who'd refused the mercenary's coin turned calculating eyes upon the shadowed corner where he sat. One nudged his companion, gesturing toward the faint crimson glow seeping from beneath the Cimmerian's cloak. 3 of them approached with the practiced swagger of men who'd taken their share of purses in darkened alleys. The largest, a Shemite with arms like ship's cables, let his hand drift to the curved dagger at his belt. His companion, a gaunt Stygian with filed teeth, already held his blade low against his thigh. "Easy there, Northman," the Shemite rumbled, showing yellowed teeth in what might have been a smile. "That's a pretty bauble blowing beneath your cloak. Too pretty for a wandering sellsword." Conan didn't so much as shift in his seat. His volcanic eyes regarded them with the disinterest of a lion watching jackals. "Aye," he said, taking another pull from his tankard. "Take it." The 3 exchanged glances, suspicious of such easy acquiescence. "You'll not move," the Stygian hissed. "Not a muscle." Conan set down his tankard with deliberate care. "It would be a kindness if you could rid me of this cursed blade. But you'll have to take it from my back yourselves. I'll not help you." The 3rd man, who'd circled behind, reached for the blowing hilt. His fingers had barely grazed the leather wrapping when he simply ceased to be. No scream, no flame. One heartbeat he stood grasping. The next only black ash drifted where a man had been, dispersing like shadow before dawn. The Shemite roared and lunged. Conan's tankard met his jaw with a crack like breaking timber, sending him sprawling. The Stygian's blade whispered toward the Cimmerian's throat, but a hand like an iron vice caught his face and drove him into the table. Wood splintered. The man lay still. Conan stood, adjusted his cloak, and looked down at the unconscious thugs. "The blade chooses who may touch it," he growled. "By Set's fangs, you think I want this cursed thing burning at my back? I'd kiss your sandals if you could take it. But the blade has its own will, and it seems to prefer me alive and you selectively dead." He tossed another coin onto the ruined table and moved with the lithe silence of a hunting panther out into the blinding glare of the afternoon. From the shade of a tattered awning, Conan watched Valerius and the 4 men left to him straggle back to their meager, well-guarded camp on the city's edge. Unease clung to them like dust, but it was the heart of their encampment that held the Cimmerian's gaze. A covered passenger wagon, its heavy leather curtains drawn tight against the sun and against all prying eyes. As dusk bled its purple and crimson wounds across the desert sky, one of the guards drew back a flap to pass a water skin inside. For the briefest heartbeat, Conan saw her. A slender slip of a girl, Yet she bore herself with the haughty poise of a queen. Her hair gleamed like polished jet. Her skin glowed pale as sunlit honey, and her eyes blazed with defiance unbowed. Upon the silken sleeve at her wrist coiled the royal sigil of Kauran, a serpent's mark no common wench would dare to wear. This was no camp follower. This was high-born prey. Now the game lay bare. Kidnappers had chosen the cursed road to evade patrols, trusting desolation to guard their passage. Yet Conan's thoughts ran deeper than their petty villainy. The Black Altar, that blighted place of Acheronian sorcery, brooded somewhere ahead, and the days grew thin between worlds. It stank of the dark design that had shadowed his path ever since he first claimed the blade. Night fell, draping the desert in deceptive coolness. Around a guttering fire the mercenaries huddled, their nerves strung taut as bowstrings. They had failed to buy more swords for the peril ahead, and the road they faced now led into dread no mortal steel could master. It was then that a figure approached from the darkness. He did not walk out of the city, but seemed to coalesce from the desert shadows themselves. A tall, gaunt man wrapped in robes the color of a starless midnight. His face was a pale, ascetic mask, dominated by eyes that held a cold, ancient light. Conan went rigid in his hiding place. He'd learned to recognize the touch of the beyond, and this one stank of it. Not merely a dabbler in the black arts, but one who had drunk deep from wells that should have remained sealed. Be at ease, soldiers of fortune. The newcomer's voice was like the rustle of dry leaves. I have heard of your plight. And who are you to be wandering the wastes alone at night? Valerius demanded, hand on sword hilt. I am called Zaltus, the man said, a scholar of old places, a traveler who knows the secret ways of the desert. You seek passage past the Black Altar. Conan's teeth bared in a silent snarl. No mere scholar walked the night-shrouded wastes alone. No simple traveler appeared at precisely the moment of desperate need. The emanations from the Acheronian relic unravel weaker minds, Zaltus murmured. But to one who has learned its rhythm, they are nothing. I can guide you through its shadow. A desperate hope warred with caution on Valerius's scarred face. What is your price, sorcerer? The wealth you carry is of no interest to me. My payment is knowledge. I wish only to observe the altar's effects at close proximity during the solstice, which is but 2 nights away. He paused, and Conan felt the air grow colder. A dangerous time, which is why you require my aid. The solstice, when the barriers between worlds grew thinnest, when a weakened veil might tear completely. Conan's suspicions crystallized into certainty. This was no chance meeting. This was orchestration, the kind of cosmic manipulation the old powers excelled at. "Done," Valerius growled, sealing a pact he couldn't comprehend. "We ride at dawn." The sorcerer melted back into the shadows, leaving the mercenaries staring after him. Conan remained motionless, mind racing. A sorcerer seeking the Black Altar at solstice, when the veil he had weakened would be at its most fragile. The hunt for those who would exploit his mistake had found its quarry.